So Disney are carrying on their tradition of live-action remakes of their animated classics, even though they've already done this before. But this time it's different. We've got Battle of the Emmas. I mean, let's face it, Disney remakes are hit or miss. Is this a hit? Is this a miss? Well, let's find out. I'm Berryman, and this is 10 Things Wrong with Cruella. Cruella is a 2021 American crime comedy film based on the character Cruella de Vil from the novel 101 Dalmatians. The film tells the story of Estella, a aspiring fashion designer, as she explores the path that will lead her to becoming a notorious up-and-coming fashion designer known as Cruella de Vil. When the film was released, it did get a lot of praise from its performances, the direction, the visuals, the costume design, production values and soundtrack, but it was criticised for its screenplay. But what have I, Berryman, found wrong with it? Well, here are 10 things wrong with Cruella. Number 10. Flashbacks. Well, as regular viewers of my show know, I am not a big fan of flashbacks. Now, I sort of understand why they did it from this, putting Cruella as the narrator, but still, let me watch the film, let me see what's going on happen. We know that Cruella de Vil is going to turn into an evil person trying to kill Dalmatians. We don't actually need Cruella de Vil to explain why. We can see it. It's not an audio book. This isn't done by Big Finish, this is done by Disney. This is what Disney do best, tell a compelling story. But they don't. They seem to be going quite a lot in these flashback directions. Now, granted, we didn't actually see her on screen doing these flashbacks. It was just voiceover narrations, but still, let us watch the film. We don't need it being spoon-fed what's actually happening. It's visual. Let us watch it. Number 9, child story. So when the film opens, it tells you the story of Estella and her mum and her adventures while she's at school. Which is all fine, except it lasts for 15 minutes. We want to see Cruella, that's why the film's called Cruella. We want to see Cruella. We don't want 15 minutes of her as a child. Doesn't really progress the story. You could have started off with the flashback of her mother dying. That would have been fine. I could have understood that and got into it. But when you've got a film that's near enough 2.5 hours long, and 15 minutes of that is showing the childhood that we don't really care, we're not really going to get into. It's just way too much. Number 8, accents. So an American company are doing an English film based in England, so every English person has to have a posh accent. I'm pretty sure I've said this before. English people don't really all talk like the Queen. In fact, that's a rarity. The film's based in London. They'd all be talking Cockney slang. Hell, Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins would have been better than these posh accents. Now, I can understand Emma Thompson's character talking in a posh accent. I can actually understand Emma Stone when she turns into Cruella talking in a posh accent. But while she's working on the streets being a thief, no, she'd have a common accent like mine. We are not posh. I am the furthest from a posh person as you can get. The Americans really don't know us English people very well, do they? Number 7, smoking. So the year currently is 2021. Smoking is very frowned upon. It has been for the past 10 years and it's only getting worse. However, in the 1970s when this film was set, smoking was all the rage. Everybody was smoking. Just not in this film. Which is a shame, because one thing this film is really good at is its set design. You can watch it and you think, how the hell did they actually film it in the 1970s? It looks like it's in the 1970s. It has that 1970s feel, except nobody is smoking. You go to a fashion show in the 70s, everybody, and I mean everybody, would have a fag in their mouth. The whole room would have been filled with smoke. You wouldn't have had to do much. Just put like a fog machine in the corner, have some low background fog. Hell, CGI in post-production. But there would have been a lot of smoke in every room you go to. You were allowed to smoke in shops, and in a fashion shop like that, they would have all had those long, posh cigarette things they used to smoke with. Hell, even in the Disney film 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil had a cigarette. Not once in this film. It's the 70s, everybody is smoking. I know it's frowned upon now, but when you've done such a good job of putting the 70s across, you've missed off one key element. Number 6, pacing. Now, I've already actually said that this film is so long, and there are parts of the film where it sort of just slows, and I mean slows down. I mean, this is going at a snail's pace, and it does seem to make the film drag a lot. Now, for once, I've actually watched this film with my family. My missus fell asleep, and her daughter was pretending to yawn. Yet we were all excited and really wanted to watch this film. It's just, there are parts of the film, it just drags and drags, and you find your mind wandering. When I was watching this film, I was actually thinking, what can I say as part of my script for this video? I'm not paying attention to this film. And I've said it in previous videos, one thing you want to do when watching a film is you want that film to reach out and grab you and hook you in. Unfortunately, this film does foul at the hooking in part, and yeah, it's just parts really long and boring. Number 5, Coco Pops. If you're about my age, everyone knows if you'd rather have a bowl of Coco Pops. Can't believe I just said that on camera. But Coco Pops is a beloved breakfast cereal in this country. In fact, it is worldwide phenomenal. You have Coco the monkey promoting his Coco Pops, and yet Horace and Jasper are eating Coco Krispies. Coco Krispies came out in 2003. When it was launched back in 1963, it was called Coco Pops. It's always been Coco Pops until they rebranded in 2003. But the stupid thing is, you've made a box that looks like it is in that time period. You just got the name wrong. Sorry, Coco Krispies weren't around in the 70s. It was Coco Pops. Number 4, plot twist. So this film does have a plot twist. Now, I'm all for a really good plot twist. However, in this film, this plot twist failed. Shock horror. Baroness is Cruella's mother. And you know what? I think that took away from this film. I didn't really buy into it. Now, I got the impression watching this film that the Baron's top henchman was actually Cruella's father. I could have bought into that one, but no. The twist being Cruella's mother, I didn't buy into it, and I thought it cheapened the film. I liked the fact that she was trying to destroy the Baron because she killed her mother. I liked that. That was a good thing. I actually liked the whole thing about trying to bring down this global fashion icon. I mean, hell, who would love to go up against Giorgio Armani and try and bring them down? But adding the extra plot twist that your enemy is your mother, this isn't Star Wars, you know. Number 3, cars. So for 99% of the entire world, when you drive a car, you're on the left-hand side. Except if you're here in the UK, you drive on the right. Now, as somebody who doesn't actually drive, I do sit on the left side because I'm a passenger. So, watching this film, Cruella goes and steals a car. The only car in London that's a left-hand drive. Do you know how rare it is to find a left-hand car in this country? They're virtually non-existent. They don't really appeal in this country because it's just not right. It's not the British way. But yeah, she steals the car, which actually gives her her last name, bizarrely enough. And yeah, it's a left-hand drive. It's an American car with an English number plate. What? This proves the Americans really do not know us English. Number 2, 101 Dalmatians. I'm not silly, I'm well aware that this is a prequel to 101 Dalmatians. And I'm well aware that this is an origin story of the bad guy, because let's face it, that's another thing that Hollywood's doing quite a lot of, bad guy origin stories. Yes, this way, and I mean way too many 101 Dalmatians. You've got Horace and Jasper. Now, bizarrely enough, that one I don't have a problem with because it actually showed how she introduced to her henchmen. That was fine. But having Anita and Roger in the film? No, they didn't really need to be in this film. Having Dalmatians kill her mother and explaining why Cruella does not like Dalmatians was one step too far, but also hinting in this film that she actually wanted a Dalmatian coat. Well, no, she got the inspiration during 101 Dalmatians. Why do you need to put that in this film? You didn't need to. You didn't need to do anything, and I mean nothing, to do with 101 Dalmatians. This film, bizarrely enough, had a good concept, but you just putting all these Easter eggs in, which didn't go with the story. I mean, if you wanted to do 101 Dalmatians, leave it to the post-credits scene. I mean, that's something this film did get right, was actually the post-credits scene leading into 101 Dalmatians. That was something this film got right. Number 1, post-credits scene. Okay, I lied. It didn't get the post-credits scene right. In fact, thinking about it, this post-credits scene is just way too wrong. Now, if the post-credits scene was Anita and Roger actually meeting, I'd be on board with that. In fact, I would have thought it was cool. But they didn't. They've actually got Cruella giving Roger and Anita the Dalmatians. So, Cruella de Vil is actually already putting the seeds to make her Dalmatian coat in 101 Dalmatians. I've already complained about that. So why am I saying about it again? Because that isn't the worst thing about this post-credits scene. The Dalmatians are brother and sister. You know, the parents of the other 99, well, they had 15 in the book, 15 Dalmatians from parents that were brother and sister. Now, I know that sometimes happens, but you don't really want it in a Disney film where you're incest breeding dogs. Yeah, that just puts 101 Dalmatians in a whole new light. Final thoughts. So as I said in the intro to this video, when it comes to Disney doing live action remakes of their animated classics, it's hit or miss. Bizarrely enough, when they did it before 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close, they got it spot on. That was a hit. This one is sort of a hit. It had a good concept, it had a brilliant story, and I am not taken away from the acting. I mean, Emma Thompson, she's a brilliant actress, but I think this is the best I've ever seen her, and it's so believable, and that's what you want from your actors. Emma Stone showed that vulnerability of Cruella de Vil and actually showed her twisting into the Cruella de Vil we know and love from 101 Dalmatians. The acting was brilliant. I've already praised the set design. I was watching this film and I was praising. I'm supposed to be nitpicking this film and I'm praising the set design. The soundtrack, I was singing along to the soundtrack. You can't beat that. It's just when they start adding all the extra stuff is where this film fails. If they had kept it simpler, and I mean simpler, that Cruella's up-and-coming fashion designer and wants to take down the Baroness, that would have worked. That's what the trailer promised us. That's the film I was expecting. And I think that could have worked. But then you start adding all the 101 Dalmatian Easter eggs. Then you start adding on all the plot twists. Then you start padding the film out and making it even longer. And that is where the film fails. Which is a shame, because if you take all that away, you have got a fun-filled, exciting film. And I love the film until it starts delving too much into its own mythos. You don't have 1,000 films behind you already. This is the first one. You don't need the references. This is the film to explain why she did later on, not put the explanations in here now. And that's where this film flaws. But ultimately, it's still a good family film. Something Disney is kings of is the family film. And so with that, I will give it a 7 out of 10. I think I'm being a little bit nice. A lot of people are going to actually say I'm wrong because I know this film's beloved. But when sitting down reviewing it, and doing what I do, there are so many things actually wrong with it that are huge and glaring, I can't exactly, like it. Anyway, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. And if you want to get in touch with me and have a chat with me about my film reviews, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. Just search for @berryman81 and you'll find me. Just type it into Google. Trust me, you will find me quite easily. On to next week. Well, next week we are going to do a film that's been so requested. It's probably been my most requested film I've ever been requested to. It's a showdown film. It's also a remake. I'm doing a lot of remakes. That's of course, that's all the films that are coming out are just remakes and sequels. Can we have something original, please, Hollywood? Anyway, enough of that. I will see you next week with the rematch. Take care. Bye-bye.